Welcome to these Sci-Fi guys. I'm your host Dave, and with me always is my friends. Let me get off a full screen here and click on this one. Nope, this one. There we go. Clicking on the wrong buttons there. My friends Chad and John are with me today. And while I got everybody listening, you guys can reach us on Twitter at these Sci-Fi guys. I'm sorry, it's X now. It's not Twitter. I don't know if you have you guys looked at the logo for Twitter. That X, it actually looks like the X on Verizon. I mean, it's almost the same font.
Yeah, it's very close.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I'm still going to call it Twitter. All right, or you guys can email us these sci-fi guys at gmail.com, or you can find us right here on YouTube. Anyway, so today we, as you guys saw here, we were talking about Total Recall. Let me take the ticker off of there. There we go. Today we're talking about Total Recall, the movie from 1990, not the reboot. So we're going with the original one with Arnold Schwarzenegger and so Stone. I can't think of her first name. Uh, anyway, and Michael Ironside and a whole lot of really good actors were in this one, and some behind the scenes stuff. I'm not sure if you guys know this. The original company that started Total Recall um, went bankrupt. And Arnold found out about it and said, that is a good movie. That sounds like a good movie. I want to do that. He and a company together went in with it and purchased the rights to Total Recall. Of course, he was going to be the star in it. And of course, Arnold had total control over everything. Um, which is it's actually pretty funny. It was filmed exclusively in Mexico City. Um, a lot of the cars you see were just typical Mexican cars, and they just put some body work on it. They were filming 24 hours a day. I don't know why. I guess they thought they were behind schedule, but they were filming all the time. And one funny thing is everyone on the cast, with the exception of Arnold and the director, got sick. They all got food poisoning. And the only reason Arnold and the director didn't is because they had all of their food imported from the United States. Everything that those two ate were all from the United States. Everybody else ate something local and got food poisoning at some point. I thought that was pretty funny. But so yeah, I mean, I don't know. Is this the first time either of you guys have seen this movie? Chad, was this your first time seeing it? You've seen it before?
I've seen it before.
Okay, John, how about you? Was this your first
I
time?
would say, yep. As with most of the movies we've watched, first time.
Okay, so just kind of roundabout, what did you think?
Overall, definitely interesting. I think it got a little. I at least got a little lost in it, even reviewing it, following and just trying to make sure I understood it. But overall, definitely enough action to keep you interested, and plenty of story to keep you interested. So overall, I enjoyed it. Just got a little lost along the way sometimes.
Yeah, well, that part of that was because they were doing rewrites as they were going through. Actually, the original script had Arnold, or the Quaid, was supposed to be a banker or a lawyer, and once Arnold became in there, they were like, "No, he's not going to be that. We'll make him a construction worker. That's a little bit more realistic." So, okay, let's just kind of jump in. All right, let me ask my first question here. Okay, so all right. What parts of the movie did you guys find realistic, and what parts did you find unrealistic? Let's start with Chad.
Hmm. Realistic. You can see people, construction worker. I mean, you gonna see them all over. It doesn't matter when you are or what time of future you're gonna be in. There always gonna be somebody working. Unrealistic. I don't. I love the movie. Get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. But I don't see us being inputting memories in somebody's in his head. I'm sorry. That's just me. That's more unrealistic to me.
Okay, John, how about you?
I definitely agree with large parts of that. I think one of the most realistic aspects of this film is a rich guy trying to maintain his richness and by taking advantage of others. I think that story has played out in real life plenty of times. You know that it's realistic, and I don't think that's too far fetched in the future either. I think in terms of general colonization and technology, I think a lot of that will eventually catch up. Maybe not in the way that the film shows. Now, in terms of unrealisticness, I think some of that genetic mutation on Mars a little far fetched, maybe. Which I mean, over generations and stuff, that kind of thing might happen. But the particular way they flesh that out, as it were, I think I would find that a little unrealistic myself.
Yeah, I'm kind of exactly. I think I'm with both of you guys on most of it. Um, I know one of the next questions we had was, do you think we'll get technologically advanced where we can place memories into people and they believe that they're real? I'll kind of just start on that. Is I think we're. I think I'm going to say yes at some point. I think it's going to actually happen because I mean, there's so much out there about brainwashing and how it's very easy to do. Um, I can't think of what it's called actually when someone is kidnapped and then they become kind of bonded with that kidnapper. I know there's a term for it,
Yeah.
um, but it could be anything
Really.
anything like that where it's just we technologically it's going to take years and years and years to get to that way, but I think it still is possible. John, how about you?
I think the most realistic side of that, I think, is time. I definitely think we might make it there. Currently, maybe not, but I definitely think even realistically, humans have probably tried to do that in some way. I mean, with the whole idea of hypnotism and other things, we definitely have had the idea for a long time. So surely some government and some secret bunk has probably already tried it in some ways. But I think I agree in terms of if technology catches up, it's definitely possible. Whether we decide to go that route or not, I don't know. But I mean, we're already going that route with genetics to try to fix stuff and prevent issues. So it makes sense to me that it might also happen with memories.
All right, Chad, how about you?
Like I said, it's unrealistic, but I can see it's not getting close to it. You got AI out there. You have, I think Apple's coming out with some sunglasses that you can make calls and do and see stuff on. So it's probably later down the road. Yeah, it might be there, but I don't think we get there close to it today. N- I don't think so.
Okay, well, that's always. I clicked the wrong button. There we go. That's always, each of us have our own opinion, and that's what this show's all about. I think we are, and Chad says nope. So hey, it's good. Because we're not sure. We don't know what the future holds for us. That's why we're science fiction fans. We're guys that love science fiction because the possibilities are endless out there. All right. Okay, let's talk about Mars, the planet Mars, the red planet. All right, if we were ever to colonize Mars, do you think we're going to end up having the same issues as the movie did with, say, an individual, a group, or a corporation that's going to be able to control the atmosphere and basically you have to pay to be able to breathe? All right, Chad, how about you start?
I can see it happening. If we're doesn't matter where you go, Mars is you can't really breathe on. So either a you got to pay for it or produce your own on oxygen. So I think a corporation will be hands down have it down where we had to pay out. Hey, this gives you 8 hours to breathe.
Okay, John, how about you?
Uh, Short answer, I definitely think that that might end up happening. Longer answer, I definitely think it's going to depend on the circumstances on the which how we get to Mars. If it's kind of the route we're taking right now, where it is these big corporations that have stepped in and taken over the space corporations, I mean, they're going to control it because they're going to be the ones who even get us there. So it makes sense that they would control the air and that sort of thing too. But if we get down to the nitty gritty, and as any time in the history of humanity, when we start to colonize different areas, if we start to form like our own governments and thing, because it's going to be different on Mars, maybe they'll go for the basic human rights thing, and we all deserve air, and maybe that'll prevent some of that. Again, I think it's going to depend on circumstances, but ultimately humans are going to human, and I think somebody's going to try to control the air, and because it's an easy way to make money.
Yeah, exactly. One other thing I want to add on to it is, so many uh, sci-fi shows and movies and all that, they end up saying, well, you've got the poverty people and you've got the lower class and all that. And I, I don't know. I just part of me just realize thinks that if corporations are in it for the money, and if they're not going to get paid, you're gonna be gone. They're gonna make sure you go away somehow, some way. Or you're going to work your way to be able to survive. I mean, it could be meaningless, taking out the trash or whatever. I have no idea. Uh, but I can definitely see it happening. So, all right. Next question is okay. Okay, so we're on Mars. Do you guys really think they would still use projectile weapons as their way of stopping bad guys or whatever? I mean, you saw what happened with one stray bullet. You know, you're making a big hole, and then now all your atmosphere is going out. So, John, how about you give us some words on that?
Uh, I mean, it's definitely a risky move in terms of you're artificially pumping in oxygen. Same idea you had, tearing a hole in the atmosphere that you're artificially creating. Overall, not a great idea. I think we can come up with some more creative, probably closer melee style weapons like we used to have, at least until that would stabilize a little bit, or get a little more creative in weaponry. So I definitely don't think we'd still be using projectiles. So.
Okay, Chad.
No, I you see it there. You blow a hole, everybody goes out. And same thing when you look on a plane. You pressurize an airplane, it will suck you out if you don't hit the right feet. But I don't. I would love to think that they would use something else, not projectile, to save life. More likely there.
Yeah, I'm kind of with John and you on both counts. Definitely, I think it's going to get more, melee or something. You don't need a projectile weapon, or it's going to be non-lethal. Something that's just definitely not. I mean, it might knock somebody down, but it's not going to be hard enough to, blast a hole in the wall. I think that was kind of short sighted. I mean, I get it for the movie itself. Um, in a Okay. Uh, oh yay! It's even hotter now. The phone just says, "Wait, more heat advisory." Yay! South
Yeah.
Georgia, we gotta love it. Hey, we're not on Mars, right? We can breathe here. It's hot, but it's pretty bad. All right, so guys, if you were able to change anything in this movie, um, what would you change? Who wants to jump in?
I can take this one. If I were to change anything,
You
I
can't
mean, I
say
could go with
everything
the.
either.
I, it was good enough. I wouldn't say everything, but I would definitely go easy answer, like change some of the '90s cheesiness. I think it would make the story much better. And that's the other side I would change. I think I would streamline the story a little bit, maybe take out because it seems like there were like 20 twists and turns of trying to flop back and forth between, kind of who's the antagonist, who's not, who's actually real, who's not, which is, I mean, kind of your classic if you think about Nolan movies, kind of try to make you think a little bit, but at the same time, I got very lost. So those are two aspects I'd probably change.
Okay, Chad.
Oh Lord. Uh. Well, I'll change a few things, but I would, especially like okay, I'll change the beginning of just a little bit. They To me, I liked it more on Mars than they did on the Earth, so I would have kind of shortened that time up a little bit just to kind of speed things up. But the actually Total Recall, I would have offered say offered a rod base and done something a little bit different. I don't. Other than that, that's about it.
Yeah, I'm I grew up on watching movies like this, so it's hard for me to say, "Oh yeah, we should change." I mean, because they tried to do a reboot of it, and it totally crashed and burned. It was not good. Um, I'm gonna have to agree with Chad for sure. Sorry, John. I love the '90s cliche stuff. I mean, those were great. You know, I'm surprised there wasn't more one. I mean, there was, the typical Arnold one-liners. Consider that a divorce. Things like that. I mean, and yes, there was a lot of, you know. I mean, even to this day, I just watched the movie, this last week, and I'm still like, okay, well, so was who was it? It was Quaid, and what was his name before? Um, when he worked
It's
for
it starts with an H.
Hauser. Thank you.
Hauser.
Yeah, yeah.
Hauser. So even to this day, I still don't know if Hauser was working with him and he had a real change of heart or what. I mean, I don't know. And I think one of the things is I think they could have done away with the whole alien aspect of it. Just that hey, we have devised a way to pump air into the atmosphere. We are going to hold off on doing this until we figure out how to make money on it. Something like that. I mean, I just because you never saw any alien. I mean, the only alien you saw was his hand that looked like this.
Yeah.
That's the only thing of the alien you saw. Um, and then of course on the picture at Recall, they had aliens on there, but those weren't the actual aliens for the movie. I mean, those are the kind of things I would change. I love the '90s cheese, so I would definitely not take that out. Um, One thing, I know this was rated R. That's why I did tell y'all this is not family friendly.
No.
This actually movie was originally rated X uh, in 1990, and they had to actually. It was considered too gory. One of the scenes they actually had to delete out was when Benny was inside of the digger thingy, and he was trying to kill Arnold and the girl, and then when Arnold took the that portable drill and
Yeah.
then went into the side. Well, the original thing had what happened to Benny, and it was gore and all that other stuff. Well, and this movie actually cost $65 million to produce in 1990,
Mm.
which is a ton of money. And if you use that much money and you produce a rated X movie, forget it. You're not getting anything back because most people aren't going to go see it. And so they actually cut back a lot of the scenes. One of the scenes they absolutely wanted to keep was when he used the body to shield all the bullets. That he's like, that's got to stay in there because they originally were going to pull that out. Because he's like, no, that has to stay in there. Otherwise, how is he going to get out? There's no way, you know.
It's
Um,
not. It's not gonna be believable.
yeah, and of course the three boobs. Uh, they actually the original script had four. Uh, but they said no, it looked too much like a cow, so we need to change it. We want it to be sexier. Yeah, I
What?
mean, yeah, I don't. I'm just telling you things that I've read. All right, I mean, it was pretty funny some of the stuff. Um, uh, okay, so since I've given you this stuff, all right, this was again a 1990s movie. All right, if you guys could change the actors, obviously Arnold is pretty ancient. Um, Sharon Stone is pretty old also. So, who would you replace? Michael Ironside. Who would you replace? Some of these other the evil villain. Uh, Chad. How about you? Who would you replace him with?
Oh, that's
Here,
hard.
actually, instead of just Chad, let's just all chime in. Just jump in with whoever you would replace him with.
I can
You know,
see. I can see like Arnold or something with Elba or The Rock or something. Something that Jason.
Dwayne Johnson,
Momoa.
Yeah, Jason
Jason
Momoa.
Momoa,
Momoa.
Momoa,
I was
Dwayne
thinking Momoa or The
Johnson.
Rock. I mean,
Yeah,
because they are the modern
Yeah.
Arnold.
they're
So
exactly. And then you need some diversity in there. So definitely, I think Elbow or somebody like that would be cool as a villain. Or somebody for
I
sure.
honestly think Benny, I think Childish Gambino could have done a good job at hitting him up.
No.
Yeah, because he's much older now.
Hmm.
Yeah. Did you guys know that they originally wanted Patrick Swayze to do the to be Quaid?
Sorry, I
Yeah,
don't see
that
that.
would not work.
They wanted Patrick Swayze. He actually signed on to do it, and
Hold on.
then the director left. And then
When
when the
was
director left, he
when
left.
was when was Roadhouse made? Was it before this or after this?
I think it was right after this.
Oh,
I think. I think. One funny thing is this is one of the last movies ever to use miniatures um,
Hmm.
mm,
as a, I'm sorry, a last blockbuster to use miniatures. At this point in the early '90s, everything started going CGI, and
Yeah.
like everything what they were showing with Mars was all miniatures. Um, when they did, here's a funny story. So when they did the large lady, where Arnold was, wearing the suit of the old lady,
mm.
of the big lady, they looked for the largest woman they could find that would fit his physique. And I forget the actress's name. And she was somewhat close. And they were like, okay, we can do this. That'll work. We can get by with this. And then they were like, okay, then they built the head thing that moved open. All right. Well, the thing ended up being huge. I mean, it ended up being weighing like 200, 300, 400 pounds, and Arnold was getting tired, and they were like, no, this is, and it just didn't look right. It was, the lights were coming down and it was getting too hot and it started melting, all this other stuff. So they were like, okay, we're going to do this completely robotic. And so they ended up scrolling it down, making it a lot smaller, and they just moved the camera, like my fingers are, a lot closer, to the camera. Actually, Arnold's head, because if you look at it closely, you can tell it's not Arnold, and it's it wasn't a CGI, but a claymation or whatever, or, it was something like that. Well, but have you guys seen Beetlejuice?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It was, remember when at the very end when they shrunk his head really small?
Mm-hmm.
That's about with the size of Arnold's head. It was like really tiny, about this big, and then the lady's other head was only about this big. So when they moved in the camera this close, it just made it look so much bigger on the film. I mean, up on the screen. So I thought that was a pretty cool way of doing that. But I think that's everything I had. You guys got anything else you guys want to mention while I'm just scrolling through here, making sure I didn't miss anything?
I mean, I will say I mentioned the '90s cheesiness. I love it, but it's just one of those things.
Come
But
on,
also
Conan.
the fact that a lot of that was miniatures, I appreciate a lot more.
Well,
Because, like I said,
it
one of
was
my
miniatures, and the like um uh Quato was actually a was a puppet.
mhm,
Um and it took 15 people to operate him. And the actor, who actually, it was a suit that he had to actually put on,
yeah,
and it weighed like 100 pounds, with all the wires and stuff. And then he just had to learn how to. He kind of had to learn how to move and stuff. So that's why he kind of went with that grimace of, "Ugh," and they were
mhm,
like, yes, they love it. They just fell in love with him, kind of going, "Ugh," and they were like, all right, just do that the whole time that Quado's talking, you know.
makes sense.
Well,
Uh, yeah,
here's this. How many of y'all seen Mortal Kombat or just the big guy with four
Mortal
arms?
Kombat. Oh yeah, I love Mortal Kombat.
The forearm guy. What he could like a mutant. They could have thrown him something in there like that where
Yeah, I think they kind of went cheesy on the mutant side
yeah.
of it, because they just wanted to do facial, and they use, little people and stuff, to make it seem that, oh, this is abnormal, when little people are not abnormal. Uh, Michael Ironside did break a rib at one point when he was filming, when they were doing one of the fight scenes with Arnold. He actually broke a rib, and then they actually put like Kevlar on him after that, so he wouldn't. Arnold cut his hand several times. Like the one time where when he hits the window and it smashes, it was supposed to actually blow up like right before his hand hit it, and it didn't. It blew up after his hand hit it, so he ended up getting stitches in his hand. Um, all kinds of stuff. Let's see. I already told you about that. Oh, one thing that, and this I'll end on this. Uh, Arnold actually was kind of was getting on to Michael Ironside. He actually was getting on to him. He's like, "Look, you're on the phone all the time. This is ridiculous. Why are you on the phone all the time?" And he's like, "I'm talking to my sister. She has cancer. She's not doing well." And he's like, "Give me the phone," and then he ended up talking to her for tons of time, saying, "This is the diet you need to be on. These are the exercises you need to be doing, and it will help you." And then Ironside and Arnold became like best friends after that. I was just like, wow, that's cool. Because he took the time, and he's like, "This is important. Let's talk to your sister. Let's get her where she needs to get at. Where she can start fighting this, because I think she was just mentally, I'm not going to do well. And he's like, no, you can do this. You need to do this. You need to do this, eat this, do this. Because remember, Arnold at this point, he had just won Mr. Universe, like I think the year before that
Yeah.
this movie came out. I mean, he was, I mean, it was Arnold. I mean, and that's a non-steroid Arnold. He's a big guy, and But anyway, yeah, I think that's a. Oh yeah, the original ending was more concrete. I do want to read this. So he always wanted the recall to be, like, was it a dream or whatever? But then they ended up like they first didn't want the handprint to be seen at the end of the movie. They wanted it was supposed to be Quaid's handprint, and it was supposed to be set as a human that killed the implant machine and made it into a replica. I don't know. It kind of, you were confused reading some of the stuff that they were supposed to do was confusing. I think they tried streamlining some of the storyline, and even then, like you said, it was confusing. I still think it would have been cool. Like, I'm a big Stargate fan, and there was one particular episode, Stargate SG-1, where they went to a planet, and then they end up getting sucked put into these machines, and then they just basically lived their lives, and these other people were watching them because they were so bored they had nothing to do. So that was their entertainment. They were just watching them, and I want to see them do a movie or something where it has the original cast, and then at the very end they come out of those things and say it was all a dream. All those missions we never really did. We just were in their machine doing, and learning how to, and they were just watching us make this up as we went along, things like that. I think it would have been cool if you would have seen at the very end him sitting in the chair. I think that would have been a cool, just little, like, what? Really? Was it a dream? Was it, it would have made it kind of ambiguous at the end. I think that would have been kind of neat. So, all right, everybody. Thank you guys for listening to us. I'm going to pull this up here. So we had already talked about today was Total Recall. As you can see there with Arnold. That's right, Arnold. Who can do their best Arnold impression? Come on.
I can't do Arnold.
I'll be back.
You guys are hilarious. All right. Well, next time we're sticking to the 90s. And we are doing Arnold's
Demolition.
actually best friend, Sylvester Stallone, and Wesley Snipes in Demolition Man. Actually, fun fact is that a lot of the movies that Arnold got, Sylvester Stallone applied for, and Arnold won out on. Terminator, Sylvester Stallone tried out for and got, and it ended up going to Arnold. And I think the next one, I think it was the opposite. Sylvester Stallone and Arnold tried out for Demolition Man, but Sylvester Stallone got it. So, I mean, the two of them, they were back and back, with Rocky. You'd have Rocky, then you'd have Terminator, then, it would just
Yeah.
kind of go back and forth. They were the two big star. They were
Yeah,
really two of the biggest stars in the early 90s.
yeah. I think that this is in their prime, like
Hmm.
getting in there, because it's not. But he ain't no age, and you've seen Arnold, you've seen Stallone now.
I don't know. Arnold looks pretty good for being as old as he is.
Yeah,
I mean, he doesn't. Even Sylvester Stallone looks
yeah,
pretty decent. I mean, he's got his own show on. Is it Paramount or
yeah.
uh,
It was Paramount.
Max?
It was Paramount. He was playing Mafia King Thompson.
Yeah, Mafia King. That's what it was. Yeah, I haven't seen any of the. That's not my style of shows, so
You need to
I
watch
have
it.
no
It's
desire
good.
to see.
It's good.
Yeah, all I can think of him going, Adrian. No, I don't think so. Anyway, all right. Thank you, everybody. You guys have a great one, and peace out.